Hello and welcome to the Carla Knits podcast. This is a podcast about knitting, crocheting, and always all of the yarny goodness that I love. Today is Friday, October 4th, and I'm joining you from my home in Nebraska. A big welcome back and welcome to any returning and new viewers. I'm so happy that you're here, spending some of your time with me and following along on my knitting and crocheting adventures. Today I will have a regular podcast episode, and I'm combining it with my September recap. I've been doing a recap of each month with how I am doing on my Make 9 boards and how I'm doing using my stash. So the end of September and this first part of October have just gotten a little hectic, so I am joining them into one video today. So thank you so much for being here. All of the patterns that I talk about will be listed down below in the description box, as well as places you can find me, Instagram and Ravelry. So I think we will go ahead and get started. So I have a couple finished objects today. I am wearing one of them. This is the Simple Knit Hat by Lion Brand, and the yarn is Jojoland Invention in the Deep Sea colorway. And this is yarn that I have had in my stash for many years. I think I either purchased it in 2013 or 14, so it's been around 10 years at least. Beautiful blue yarn, so very happy with that. I wanted to knit a very simple hat, and I wanted to participate in my friend Darcy's make-along. So Darcy of Chit Chat Knits is hosting a Warm Ears Mal, which started on October 1st, I believe, and goes through maybe mid-November. I am going to be sure to link her group down below where you can find that information. So I decided to make this hat, and I had 2 skeins of this Jojoland yarn, and I not only made this one, but I made 2 additional ones. So I got 3 hats out of the 2 skeins of yarn. And I think they are just so pretty. And I'm going to title this episode something like Knitting with the Blues or Knitting All the Blues, because not only are these very blue, I have other things that I'm working on that are in the blue family. So it seems like, I'm having a little bit of a blue moment with my yarn. But I'm really excited. This one is just slightly shorter by a couple rounds, but it still fits me very well. I'm planning to donate these to charity. So I think these are nice. It is an acrylic wool blend, washable, dryable, so very easy care for someone. So that is my first finished object. My second finished object, really excited to have these done. These are my Jack and Sally socks. This skein of yarn, or this sock set, came from my friend Candy. Hi, Candy. For my birthday, we share the same birthday, and so she sent me this sock set, and I made this. I'm so happy to have this for my daughter-in-law Kelsey for one of her Christmas presents, because she really loves the movie Nightmare Before Christmas. So I will tell you guys, I have not seen A Nightmare Before Christmas. So that is something I have not seen. So I know very little about it except from what I see in pictures and everything. But I know this fits Sally and Jack, the characters, very, very well. And I think this mismatched pair of socks is just going to be super fun and cozy for her to wear. So very, very happy and excited to have those done. And the yarn is by Always Be Kind yarn. It was really, really nice yarn to work with. Yeah, I think that is all I want to say about that. So very happy to have a Christmas gift off the needles. So those are my finished objects. So we will head into works in progress. Oh, before we do that, I did want to mention one thing. I meant to say this after Darcy's, the hat that I was knitting for Darcy's make-along. She also has another make-along starting on October 7th, which is Monday. It's a mystery shawl, and she, in collaboration with Knitters Brewing Company, designed a pattern based on fiction genres of books, I believe. It's called the Better Than Fiction Mal or Cal. So details can be found in her group. All proceeds from the pattern sales of this mystery shawl pattern will be going to Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. So I think this is a wonderful cause. You know, it's so wonderful when kids can have books, when kids can read books. I loved reading to my children. I loved reading as a child, and I think this is such a fun knit along. So clues will be released periodically, with the first clue being released on October 7th. You need, I know, 3 skeins of fingering weight yarn in pretty contrasting colors, but tonal colors. But again, I will link that down below, and you can find all the details there if you would like to support a great cause and knit, which I'm sure is going to be a very fun shawl. All right, I've got all my notes here. I should say this episode might be a little frazzled. It is, let's see, what time is it? It's a little after 10 on Friday morning. I have taught 1 piano lesson. I've been to the grocery store and I need to get this recorded, and then I need to go back and teach some more. I have 5, 6 more piano lessons today. So just fitting a bunch of things in today as I can. So if I'm a little frazzled, that's why. All right, so going on now into my works in progress. I only have 2 today. I have resisted the urge to cast many things on, simply because I don't think I have the time or the mental capacity to do it right now. So 1 or 2 projects is really helpful. So I have 2, no, yep, I have 2 things to show you today. All right, so you've seen this before, and of course I'm in the middle of a row, but this is my Age of Brass and Steam shawl. It is called the Age of Brass and Steam kerchief on Ravelry. It is by Orange Flower Yarn, and well over 15,000 people have made this pattern. So that is a huge endorsement of this shawl. So you can do it as a smaller size, a kerchief, or you can do it as a shawl. I had 3 skeins of this yarn, which is Berroco Topaz. Don't remember the colorway, but let's see, it is on my Ravelry. So don't remember, but I had 3 skeins of this yarn, which I had won from a yarn store in Omaha. You can see the blues and golds in here. So here's where some of the blue knitting comes in. Some of the blue knitting comes in. And blue and gold are our public school colors in my town. So I thought that was really fun. But here is the shawl, and I'm very, very close to actually being done with it. Okay, I don't know how well you can see it since it's kind of bunched up on my needles, but where that little teddy bear progress keeper is, that is where I was the last time. So I have made quite a bit of progress. The rows are getting longer, and I'm actually only about two or three rows from the end. So my yarn is getting down there. I didn't know, I had just done one of these eyelets down here, and I wasn't sure I would have enough yarn for a whole nother stockinette section eyelet section and the bind off. So so I decided to stop there. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections of stockinette and 5 eyelet rows. So I think it's going to be a very nice warm shawl, and I am really happy. This has been my mostly evening knitting as we watch TV. It's pretty mindless, so I can just enjoy watching TV with Jeff, my husband, and knitting away on this. But this yarn has been in my stash for a few years also, so really excited to be using that prize yarn in a project. I said 2 works in progress. I actually have 3. So my second one is a sock. And I shared in the last episode that I have this beautiful skein of yarn. Now it's a cake from Sewrella yarn in the hydrangea color. And when my mom was here this year in the summer, I had her come down to my yarn room here and look at my shelf and pick a skein of yarn, that she really liked, that she would like me to make a pair of socks for her. So she picked this beautiful skein, and I absolutely love it. I love hydrangeas. I love this color of hydrangea in particular. Yeah. So I thought that would be really fun. And in her area, they do have she lives in Michigan. They do have beautiful, beautiful blue hydrangea bushes. So I think that's going to be really nice. I shared on the last podcast that I was not sure of the pattern that I was going to use. I had a choice of 3 that I was thinking of. And then my sweet friend Beth, hi Beth if you're watching, she gifted me a pattern on Ravelry for another sock pattern that she thought would work well with this yarn. So I had the Harvest sock pattern by Carly Perrins. I had the Blueberry Waffle socks. I can't think who that's by right now. I should know. I have the Second Breakfast sock by Witchery. And then the sock pattern that Beth gave me, I will include here, is the Wildflower and Honeycomb socks by This Handmade Life. So many of you shared in the comments, your thoughts about which pattern I should use. I will say the Blueberry Waffle socks and the Second Breakfast socks are almost identical. The pattern of the sock is the same. There is a difference in the heel, and I'd have to go back and look at the cuff. There may be differences in the cuff. The Blueberry Waffle socks is written for DK weight. The Second Breakfast sock is written for fingering weight, but it's basically the same pattern on the leg. So those were very similar. So I was like, oh my goodness, I like all of these patterns. They're beautiful. And, all of you weighed in, and, I don't know that there was one that stood out like, you should knit this one, you should knit this one, because everybody liked all of them. Or, there were some for the Harvest sock. There were some for Blueberry Waffles. There were some for Second Breakfast. And then, of course, this new pattern is just beautiful too. Well, I decided to take a picture of each sock pattern, of the sock texture, and I sent my mom a grid of the textures and asked her which sock she would like, which pattern she would like me to use on the yarn. And she said that she went into her sock drawer and she pulled out all her socks and looked at them, and she decided on, she didn't know the names of the patterns, but what she settled on was the Second Breakfast sock by Witchery, which that was a pattern that I won from summer sock camp from Carla Knits of the Crazy Sock Lady. So that was kind of special that I'm using this. But here is the sock and how it's knitting up, and I think it is so pretty. So I hope you like this, Mom. And yes, you are seeing your Christmas present early, but you'll get to see the progress on it. but I think that is such a fun texture. It is very easy. I don't feel like I have put a lot of time into this yet. I've just been taking this with me to school, to the college, to the school, and knitting, you know, during little breaks, and it's just been really nice. So I am enjoying this, and Mom picked out the pattern, so I think that's really special. So that is my mom's Christmas sock in the making with the second breakfast pattern. Beth, the pattern that you sent, the Wildflower and Honeycomb socks, I just keep thinking about what yarn to use. So I'm going to share, oops, and yarn is flying here. So I have this skein of yarn. So now I want to make the Wildflower socks for myself. So I have this beautiful yarn. This is from Sarah's Crochet Crafts. This is a Gilmore Girls sock set. Coffee for the full skein, and the mini is Oi with the poodles already. So I think that would be really pretty worked up in that pattern. And then let's see if I can put this back up there nicely. And then I'm looking at my shelf here, if I can find it. Sorry, I'm looking away from the the calendar. I'm looking away from the camera. I also have a skein in my stash somewhere over here of a homespun house, a cream color with speckles. I think that would be pretty. I've got several lighter skeins of yarn that I think would be really pretty with that Wildflower sock pattern. So I'm really excited about that, and I just want to choose just the right yarn for that pattern. So thank you again, Beth. So that is my second whip. And then my third whip, I'm very excited to share again. I'm going to reach over here. This is the blanket that my husband Jeff's grandma Marie started many years ago. And I inherited her knitting and needed to figure out where she was in the pattern, which I did a few years ago, and finally picked this up just a little while ago. And you can see, if you can see where that little, I think it's a giraffe stitch marker, that is where I was last time. So I have made some significant progress on this Afghan, and I'm keeping the little green marker there because that is where I started and where Grandma Marie was in the pattern and where I started. So I have made some significant progress in this couple of weeks. The skein of yarn that was attached, I just have that much left, and then I have the 3 full skeins in my bag. So I'm trying to do this when Jeff is not home, which this is not easy. I don't work on it in the evenings because he would see it. So occasionally during the week I will come down and I might have a half hour here, or 20 minutes. I think, okay, 20 minutes I can get through a couple rows. So I have that. But I'm really enjoying working on this. And we have fall break coming up in a couple weeks. So I'm hoping I might get some time in my yarn room here to be working on this. The yarn is sorry guys. It is a very vintage yarn, Windtuck 4. It's 100% Monsanto acrylic worsted weight yarn in the medium Federal Blue colorway. I really love this color. This reminds me of our first couch, which was this color with like pink flowers on it, little pink, like blue and mauve, blue and pink. So we got married in the mid-90s, and I was definitely into the country blue and pink at that time. So this color definitely reminds me of that couch, which we no longer have. But yeah, that was sweet. So I would love to get this finished for Jeff for Christmas. And, you know, if I keep making steady progress like I have been, I do think that it's very doable. So this is my priority of when I have a decent-ish chunk of time during the day and Jeff's not home, I will sneak down and work, or I will come down to my yarn room and work on this. So my shawl is almost done. I have the socks, which are a great project on the go knitting, and then that blanket. So so those are my projects that I've been working on and finished and works in progress. I'm gonna go into my September recap now, just watching my time. So share my September recap, and along with that, I will share some upcoming, maybe some dream knitting. So maybe some things that will get on my needles within the next couple of weeks or a month. So let me back up in my notebook here. Okay, so September recap. We are officially three quarters of the way through the year. You know, if you've been following me, that I made 3 Make 9 boards at the beginning of the year. This is inspired by Amy of Noble Character Crafts. She runs a make-along in her on Instagram and shares about it in her podcast. So the idea is to make a grid of 9 projects that you'd like to work on, and you can post pictures of finished objects, you can post pictures of your grid, you post pictures of works in progress, and then you're entered in, and she draws prizes periodically from that hashtag on Instagram. So my I made 3 Make 9 boards just because I'm crazy like that. So one board was my works in progress that I was bringing over into 2024. One was a new projects board, and one was strictly a sock board, so sock patterns that I wanted to work on this year. So for the month of September, let's see, for the month of September, I did not finish anything. I did not finish anything from my boards. No, I did not finish anything from my boards. But my Age of Brass and Steam shawl, that is my substitute pattern for my Make 9 new board, and that will be the 9th and final project off of that board when that is complete. So, so that is really exciting. Then Grandma Marie's, I guess I'm going to call it Grandma Marie's Afghan. That is a project on my whip board, one of the blanket projects on my Make 9 whip board. So I'm happy to say that I have made progress on that. So I'm making progress on a couple things from my Make 9 boards. But what I finished in the month of September was my Scrappy Marl hat, which was my hat for participation in our informal Labor Day hat knit along in the Carla Knits group. I finished my Luminous Summer top. I made 3 ghosts, glowing ghosts, which I shared in the last podcast. The Jack and Sally socks, which I shared today, and these 3 hats. So these were all finished. Yep, these were finished in the month of September. So let's see, if I take out my little sheet here, and I know the coloring is pretty light, but this was my highest month out for skeins out. So my Luminous Summer top used 7 skeins of yarn. I have 1 skein there for the Jack and Sally socks. I have these 3 towards the bottom were 3 50-gram skeins, for 1 for each of the ghosts. And then I actually ran out of circles. So there's a 2 in this one, 2 skeins, 2 blue skeins for the hats that I finished. So I got 13 skeins out, in the month of September, which is really, really good. But I did bring yarn in and I bought yarn. So I'm going to share what I bought. I think one of the skeins went flying, excuse me. Yes. So I have been watching different podcasts, and I've been seeing, you know, Bernat velvet and things made with velvet yarn. So I got a skein of this Bernat velvet in the mocha colorway, which is such a pretty plummy brown. Yeah, a plummy brown color. Yeah, I just think that's so pretty. So with this, well, I'll go into that in a minute. So I got this one skein of the Bernat velvet, and then I have 3 skeins of Hue and Me. It's a 2 of Wands yarn by Lion Brand. So these were from Joann Fabrics. I did not go to Joann. I would have liked to have gone. I just haven't had time. So I got on the website because Jeff said, oh, they're having a 70% off sale on certain things. And I don't know why he did that. So I went and I'm like, yeah, I do want to buy some yarn, I think. So this is a chunky weight. These skeins are chunky weight yarn. This is 80% acrylic, 20% wool. This color is Desert. This pretty color is Rosewater. And this is Bellini, like a peach Bellini. Isn't that pretty? So I will share what I want to do with those in a moment. But that makes 4 skeins in, and I haven't colored those in yet on my chart. I only finished 1 because they didn't come at the same time. So 13 skeins out from my stash, but I brought 4 lovely skeins of yarn into my stash. I thought I would share my totals so far, and I have to update September. I have to update September here, guys. Hang on. Okay, so for skeins in from January through September, there was a total of 18. That seems like a lot, but maybe, I don't know. Let's see. I didn't get any yarn until May, and Jeff purchased 3 skeins. Oh, no, I take this back. That's 1, 4, 5, 15, 19 skeins of yarn. So that yarn does sneak into your stash, you know, it does. So February, I got 1 skein that I won as participation in Amy's Make-Along. In May, I got 3 skeins of yarn that Jeff purchased for me for Mother's Day. June was 1 skein of yarn. Oh, and that was, what was that? I don't remember. July was 10 skeins of yarn. July is my birthday month, so I know yarn came in, or Jeff bought me the yarn for, well, that I used for that luminous sweater. I got the Jack and Sally sock set, 7, 8, and I won a skein of dishcloth yarn. And then this month, September, I got those 4 skeins that I just showed you. So I believe 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So that is a total of 19 skeins into my stash. I will say I have used those to make projects, not all of them, but those 3 in May I used in a shawl that I made, a shawl scarf that I made. All of the sweater yarn that Jeff bought me for my birthday, I used. The skein that I was gifted, the dishcloth skein, I made 3 dishcloths with. So I am using the yarn that has come into my stash this year. But for yarns out, I have used 70 skeins of yarn in my stash. So that feels really good. I know when I shared in my mid-year, so that would have been after June, my mid-year totals out. Someone, some people commented, oh, maybe you could get to 100. I don't think I'm going to get to 100 skeins out, but 70 skeins out, that's pretty significant. That's really significant. So that feels really good. I'm very happy with that. So it's definitely been a journey and a process. And I'm gonna keep going with it. But let me share some upcoming plans for this fall. So things that I hope to maybe work on. So with this velvet yarn, I am looking at 2 different patterns. Either the Juniper Cowl, it's called Juniper Cowl and Infinity Scarf by Snuggleme Stitches, or the Velvet Dream Circle Scarf by Emily Seat. I believe they are both crochet patterns. And so I've seen a couple crochet cowls. I just think that would be really pretty. I don't know how it will be to work with this yarn. I've also seen scrunchies too. So I kind of hope that I can use this yarn for an infinity scarf and maybe have enough yarn for a couple scrunchies. We will see. One for myself and one for Jenna, and maybe more. If we'll see if I can get some out of there after I make my first project. So that is a plan at some point. So that'll be good to do a little bit of crocheting. Then with these yarns, I've already lost one. One has flown the coop. With these bulky weight yarns, I'm going to share the patterns that I am interested in making with those. So the first is the Hillside Beanie by Jessica Bisson. And this is a crochet pattern. I think that's a real cute picture of her in the hat. I assume that's her, but I think that's a really cute picture. It just looks like a fun crochet hat. So I think I would like to try that. And then the next 2 patterns are both by Kalley Reedy, who is Needles and Life. All of these are on Ravelry. These 3 patterns are paid for. The cowl patterns are free. So the Birdie beanie is one of them, and the Sandstone beanie. I just think these would be really fun and quick hats. Those 2 would be fun hats to knit up. So I'm excited to try the chunky yarn and see what I think of the chunky yarn. I just, I see a lot of these colors. Let's see. I see a lot of these colors right now. These, I would call them neutrals. So I think it would be fun to make some hats in these colors. So perhaps a hat for my sister for Christmas, and maybe my niece, her daughter. I have a couple nieces, so maybe more will happen. We'll see. All right, and then I have been thinking that I kind of really want to cast on a sweater. I told myself before I did that at all, I definitely needed to finish my shawl. So the shawl is very close to being done. Once that is done, I probably will cast on a sweater. And these are the sweaters I am thinking of. The first is the Felix cardigan, which many of you probably are familiar with, by Amy Christoffers. And I have this yarn in my stash. This has been, this yarn was purchased at my local yarn store when my friend Joanne had a yarn store here in Seward. This is Sueno worsted by Haiku Yarns. It's Lavender Field Tonal. So, I'm thinking the blues, all the socks, they're kind of, I've just got this purpley blue color scheme going on. I have 5 skeins of this, and it seems like a pretty, it's definitely a worsted weight yarn. So I think I could make the Felix cardigan with this. I know this color is probably not in right now, but I have 5 skeins of this, and it would be really fun to use them in a project. I think when I originally purchased this, I had a shawl in mind, but if I could get a cute little cardigan sweater out of it, I think that would be really nice. And I do have a couple tops or dresses that this could go with. So that is one thought. That yarn was easily accessible. My other yarns were not for my next project. But the other is a pullover. It's the Arboreal sweater by Jennifer Steingass. And I have I think a pumpkin-y orange, if I remember correctly, a pumpkin-y orange or a pumpkin-y burnt orange color for the main body, and then either cream or a light taupe for the color work. So it would definitely be a fun fall sweater to do. So thinking about that one, that is a DK weight sweater. I have the yarn already in my stash because I had wanted to make this a while ago. So that is there. And then I also have yarn in my stash for the Folklore cardigan by Lion Brand Yarn. And this is the cardigan that, I might get this wrong, that Taylor Swift wears. And you know, it's a cable-y cardigan. My friend Ashley, hi Ashley, if you happen to be watching, she made this cardigan, and I believe I saw she posted it on Instagram, and I was like, oh, what is that pattern? Those cables, it is so beautiful. And she shared that it was the Folklore cardigan by Lion Brand. I'm not a big Taylor Swift fan. Maybe I'm too old. I like some of her music, but I liked the cardigan, kind of the old school cardigan with that varsity stripe, and the cables are just so pretty. So I do have the yarn to make that. So I was thinking about that for a cable cardigan, or I was also thinking I'm really drawn to the Clotilda cardigan. That is by Pernille. I wrote Pernille cardigan. It's not by Pernille cardigan. Pernille something. I will put that down in the show notes. And I really like the looks of that too. And I think that would really be pretty in the cream colored yarn that I was going to use for the Folklore. So I'm a little torn right now if I want to make the Folklore cardigan or the Clotilda cardigan. And Clotilda, I didn't know how to pronounce it, so I did look that up. Clotilda is actually it's a French word, or it has French and German origin. And Clotilda, I guess, was a popular French girl's name. It actually translates into bright war or famous battle. So, but I think it's a really, really beautiful cardigan. So that would be a lovely, lovely piece to work on. So those are the sweaters that I am thinking about. So if you want to weigh in and let me know what you think, I really don't know what I would start first. I guess I may be leaning that way for the Felix cardigan, but we will see. But you can share if you like any of those sweaters in particular. So I think that is done with knitting plans. Dream knitting. It would be so fun just to sit and knit all day. I kind of dream of those days. You know, I have summers off, but part of me would just like to have significant chunks of time off when the weather gets colder. You know, we've had glimpses of the cool weather, which have been really nice, but we're supposed to be in the 90s again tomorrow. So summer still has its hold on us. So I'm very anxious for cooler weather, and nothing would be better than just sitting curled up knitting, or even sitting outside enjoying some fresh air, but cooler, crisp temperatures and knitting. So I hope I will get to do that at some point. What else have I been doing? We have our mini skein swap. So I have been going through all of my minis, working on winding up minis. I have a couple partners for the Christmas swap. And I had minis in one of my dresser drawers. I had minis in a gray box, and I had minis in a project bag. So minis and scraps everywhere. Most of these are leftover fingering weight skeins of yarn. So, sorry, I'm bending down again. I took time as I was winding some of the minis. I took time to go through, and I thought it would be good maybe because some of my minis had gotten tangled. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to take time and do this. So now I have all my, I believe I have all of my fingering weight sock yarn organized, and I organize these by colors. So I kind of have a greenish blue bag, and I have this orangey yellowy bag, and I have this pink bag. These are just the ones I brought to show you. I have an additional pink bag. I think I have I have additional bags of both of these. I have a more neutral bag of yarn, like whites or creams with light speckling. I have one that is really dark colors. So there are lots of bags that all fit now in the drawer, but it was really good to clean up those things and organize it. So now I feel like I can grab a bag out if I'm looking for a particular color. So I think it's going to be it's going to be easier for me to use. I probably should go through and do the same with my DK and worsted weight, and maybe I will at some point. But for now, I'm really happy because this was a big project to get through these. So that is what I have been doing. I've been keeping very busy with school, and I play for church this weekend, so 3 services. Boating season is about to end, so we will be busy taking the boat, taking it down, our sailboat, cleaning that all up. That's a big weekend project, so that's for next weekend. Yeah, the days just go by and by. So I'm very happy that I got to sit down with you guys today. I hope most of this made sense. You know, I love my knitting, and this was a treat to sit down and talk with you all and get some of my thoughts that are in my head onto paper and share those all with you. So I would love to hear what you're working on. Do you have any fun fall plans, knitting plans, sweater plans, hat plans? I would just love to hear from you. So I hope that you are all doing well. I hope that you're crafting, whether you knit or crochet or whatever you do. I hope that is bringing you so much enjoyment. And I hope to be back with you in a couple weeks. Take care. Bye-bye.